What's going on, fellow humans and resellers? This is I, James, redoptionagency.com, urban-picker.com, 24 years selling full-time on eBay, and we are Monday morning, and we'll go over the numbers for the yesterday. I don't know, I'll probably just talk off the top of my head also. I'm just going to bring up some red flags. There's just things you got to pay attention to from creators on YouTube. There's so many different perspectives, and then there's kind of reality. So I'm gonna give you some little reality tips when you're watching creators on YouTube. And then if you didn't see my video on my other channel, Life's Too Short for Pants, I'm gonna talk about a little bit about that. I'm thinking about changing the name of that channel to James Help First Aid 2, because it's like I put everything that's me, that's not reselling related on that channel. So I'm like, why don't I just make that more of a personal channel, which it is, but just change it and then build off of my original name, my original channel name. And I got that by watching the Mr. Beast video this weekend. So I saw a video pop up, and it's on Mr. Beast too. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's cool. That he scheduled 10 years ago before he was big. So that was kind of cool to see. And I've played with ideas about doing stuff like that for a long time. And I just never found something that I wanted to schedule out to make it funny. It just never came to fruition. So, but you never know. One day, if I'm dead and you're not, and then all of a sudden you see a video pop up live, and I've always thought that was kind of a very cool idea. So I've always had the idea of like scheduling videos out 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in advance, that no matter how long I'm gone, a video can still pop up. So once I figure out what I want to do in that world, I'll do something, but obviously I'm not too worried about it. But let's get into the numbers yesterday. Kind of down yesterday overall. All righty. And I've been thinking a lot about this and how I'm doing it. Like I think it's going to change week by week, but I'll get into that. Anyway, let's get the numbers first. So yesterday, I've been more strategizing, organizing than listing. So I only got 25 items listed yesterday, which brings the run total up to 155. And items sold on the media store yesterday, 39 items, boo. Clothing store, 20 items. So we sold a total of 59 items, down 21 items from the day before. Runs sold, 139 items. Media store, $421. There's a lot of 400s, almost 500s in the past. Well, those two are not, but a lot of 400s in the past 2 weeks. So not complaining about that. I'm just almost over that threshold, I think, of always having $500+ days. Back to it where before eBay was a wreck. Clothing store down almost $100, $313, bringing the day total to $735, with a run total this week of $1,632, which is what, about $815 average or something like that. Month to date, media store $25.96, clothing store $18.75. Month to date, $4,471. Year to date, $128,708 on the media store, $80,740 on the clothing store, bringing the total to $209,400. $488 for the year total. And again, I'll say again, I net about 50% of that. So right about 50%. And that kind of segues into one of my things. So as I said before, I net about 50% of what goes into the bank. And then my bills, other than 2 storage lockers and supplies, everything else just goes to normal daily living. Car, cell phone, internet connections, laundry, detergents, trips, whatever the case may be, right? And I liked it that way. I've always liked it that way. You know, before my biggest year was $475,000. I've done plenty of times at $400,000+ a year when I was doing Amazon. I had employees. The thing about all that is you have more overhead. And yes, I was still doing it at home because that's the way I wanted it. That's the way I designed it. I've never really wanted to be outside my home because at first I was raising 2 boys, so I could come and go as I wanted. So I had no problems because I hired my friends and I had no problems them being in my house. But then it came in handy taking care of my dad, you know, so I've never aspired to have a space outside of my home. I've aspired to have maybe a second home at the other side of the yard or something like that, right? Like a 2-home property kind of next to each other or whatever, and live in one and work out of the other, and connected with it via a fence or whatever. So the dogs and everybody can come and go as they please, like one unit, if you will. 2 units separate, but 1 unit overall. So I've always aspired for that. But like there's somebody who there's an eagle on YouTube who just goes on and on and on about how private labeling is the only way to resell, and everything else, reselling one-offs, is just a nothing burger. Like for some reason he believes that to have a reselling business means that you have to grow something outside of where you are, and you have to grow it every year, and you have to become this big, massive thing. And that's not the case. That's not always the case. That's not what some people aspire to be. Like I've said a million times before, I came from nothing, literally nothing. No, not middle class, literally nothing. And my only dream was to be happy. Have a nice car. So instead of me worrying about getting a warehouse with overhead, I wanted that money back to me. I wanted to put that into stock markets. I wanted to put that into nice cars. And I've done that. I've had $100,000, $60,000, and then I put about 20 more thousand into it. SUV. That was my first business vehicle. And I had spinners on it, had it lowered, had it decked out. That was my first business vehicle. That was my warehouse. I didn't care about a warehouse. I had a big enough home where I can work out of and have a nice car instead of a warehouse. To me, that was what I wanted. And that's what made me happy, having nice cars. And I've had plenty of them over the years. I had a couple of SRT Jeep Grand Cherokees that were business vehicles. Had an Overland, I got a Porsche. I've had nice cars. That's what makes me happy, right? And I've never cared for anything else. I don't need $1 million a year to be happy. I don't need $1 million a year to have a business. The only thing I wanted in my business is that when I'm gone, somebody can keep it going. And I've designed a business that can do just that. There's basically one way of getting product over and over again, and anybody can replicate it. You don't have to know what you're doing, just grab it all. And then there's, now with AI making listing even easier and faster and more convenient, that's that takes all the headache out of what category to put it in, what the title should be. It just makes it basically takes your business that can be duplicated just, I always say tenfold, but just makes it off the chart that anybody could literally do it. Because the last hurdle of what I had created was just that. You have to put in what the title is going to be and what category. You still got to know what category to put it in. But other than that, it can be duplicated. And being the way I bought for 20 years, by buying out businesses, buying by bulk, having a back stock of inventory, somebody can live off of what I've got probably easily for another, depending on how much money they wanted per year. If they were just using it as a side gig, like my sons could probably run this business for the rest of their lives with just the inventory I have. So that's, my goals have been met, right? Anything beyond where I am now is bonus. And I love it that way. So before you get all in the hoopla of people who just don't understand there's more than just one way of doing things, more than one way of being happy. Everything doesn't have to be fed with ego, bigger, better, faster, whatever, Happy is an accomplishment on top of somebody thinking bigger, better, faster, blah, 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 right? Just depends on who you are, where you come from, how you were raised, and where you really want to go. That's what it all boils down to. And then speaking on other videos I've seen lately, some advice on those. There are a lot of people who are not, who may have, no, I don't even want to say they have good intentions, because they're very selfish. There are people who can pull the wool. There's a lot of people who you wouldn't think would pull the wool over your eyes, but they are. Like another YouTuber, never get scaling down mixed up with failing. This person, a year plus ago, I saw that they weren't going to be able to cut it, just because what they were, if they didn't change things, because what they were doing was not going to work. For long term, it just wasn't going to. And I think that's what a lot of people on YouTube are selling. They're selling more of a short-term dream than a long-term dream. I kind of just, and I get knocked on it all the time. Your items suck. You sell blah, blah. Yeah, but you know what? I've been doing this 24 years. You've been doing it 5 minutes. I built something that can be sustained far past me being here and still make money. So is it really about the things, or is it about the whole overall business model? So you see a lot of people pushing this short-term thing that when I view it, it's not going to work out for the long term. It's just not. You can't pay like $4 per item and you only sell X amount and you only make X amount and you have the warehouse, you have employees. I've been there. I've seen it. I've done it. I went $30,000 backwards when I had employees, and I was making 400. Like I said, my biggest year was 475,000, and I still went behind 1 year, $30,000. So I have seen it. I've done it. I've been there. So when I see these business going, ooh, they're not going to last very long, and then I give advice. I just gave advice to somebody who I was kind of looking out for on a video, and I try to make it more funny, I thought the whole situation was funny anyway, about a Barbie or whatever. But I try to give advice on something I've seen that's going to be a downfall to somebody, and I get blocked on Facebook. So, because not ever, I've seen things, I've done things, and I can smell bullshit a mile away. I can see failure coming for people before it's going to come, before they are, because they're newer at it. They haven't experienced it before. So if I'm saying something, I'm saying it for a reason. Whether you want to listen or take anything to heart or whatever, or just get offended by it, that's on the people who are there, the other people. It's not on me, right? I'm just trying to be helpful and share my information, my knowledge, my experiences. So when this person scaling back to teach people how to resell, in my eyes, that's not what it was. It was failure. And so they got to pivot. And that's the way I see it, because of what I saw a year ago, that it wasn't going to work. The biggest one out there, the biggest clothing out there, I saw what was going on when that person had a store and knew it wasn't going to last. Because again, you can't pay $4 per item, sell what they were selling at the amount they were selling, and the amount they were selling with overhead, and it was going to last. It wasn't going to last. But yet these people who, in my eyes, fail, but yet spin it on YouTube in another way, to me, that's deceitful. I have no respect for that. And I have no problem saying it. Because in my eyes, it's wrong. My point to all this is just be careful what you're listening to. Stop looking at everything with rose-colored glasses, because it's not always that. I do get on people for always having the pessimistic attitude about somebody. I mean, there's been plenty of people who come at me. But clearly, I guess the one big difference is experience. The people who come at me don't have experience to see what I'm doing. The people who follow those other people blindly, if you will, don't have the experience to understand. So it's the responsibility of the creator to be open and honest, even with failures, and to stop trying to bullshit their way through things, to spin things another way, or even lie to themselves in some cases. And I'm sure that's a case too. It's very hard to admit failure. If you saw my video on my other channel, I even admitted that about trying to lose a little bit of weight, how I failed and what I was going to do about it. But a lot of these creators will do that in your face, and they spin it, like I said, whether they're lying to themselves or they're just straight up lying to you. Either way, it's not reality. And then thirdly, the video I saw, and I'll say, once you're a bad person, you're always going to be the core person who you are. What's the saying? When somebody shows you their true colors, believe it. You can't change the core of who you are. So if your core is money over everything, even being a good person, no matter what BS you try to push on a video, you're still a bad person, and it's going to catch up with you. And it seems that platform number 2 for this person has caught up with them. They've had 3 different incidents that's led to a suspension that may be a permanent suspension again. When you put money above all else, even being a decent, like if your money is your driving power over everything, you will put everything else aside, and that is even being a decent person. You will throw that in the back seat because all that matters is that money and or that power, and just and then that kind of goes back around to the first one I was talking about with the ego on YouTube, who doesn't realize there's more than one way to be happy in life. And I don't know if that person's really truly happy. It doesn't really look like it. So deep inside, they seem to be fighting some battles themselves. But that's neither here nor there. Just be careful out there. It's the responsibility of the creator to not deceive you, not to lie to you, not to bullshit you, but it happens all the time. And like I said, I learned at the age of 23 that telling lies and being deceitful just is not worth it. Because again, from experience, I learned the ramifications of it. And at that point forward said, I'm never going to lie about anything. And that's what turned me into an asshole, because I wasn't going to lie about anything. If somebody wanted the truth about something, they're going to get it. And 9 times out of 10, somebody's not going to like it. But I'm not going to lie to you about it. I'm not going to bullshit you about it. I'm just going to tell you the way it is, what it is. And from my point of view, my experience, XYZ, period. They can do with that information as they want. But seeing so many people that can just follow so blindly, I get it, like I said, because it's lack of experience. And it makes me really dislike the creators who are using others' inexperience to monetarily benefit when they're not even being 100% truthful. That's what grinds my gears. That's what just gets me. That's what irks me. So that's why I have no problem saying things. And if you watch content on YouTube, you know exactly the 3 people I'm speaking of. But there's a lot of crap out there. A lot of crap. Like I said, watch everything and just pull what you need from the people you watch. Just pull what you need and throw everything else in the trash and realize they have an agenda. Figure out what that agenda is. Everybody has an agenda. I have an agenda. My agenda is just to share what I've experienced, share what I've gone through. There's people out there, well, actually, even the ego person. People don't give away secrets. I give away everything because I know what it's like to be with nothing. I know what it's like to start with nothing. So I ain't here to BS anyone. I'm giving you all the information you need because you know what? I'm doing a business that not many people are doing. And anyone can if you're willing to put in the work to do it. And that's the problem with some. They want a quick dollar, you know. And that's why you follow the high up. Everything's got to be high sell-through rate, STR. No, those are the people who want a quick buck. And guess what? Those people don't last. And that's being proven on YouTube, which feels like almost on a monthly basis this lately. Failure here, failure there. There's going to be more to come if they don't change their ways. I can tell you that 100% for sure. There's going to be more to come because what I see with a lot of these creators that since I've been doing like research and stuff and kind of watching, trying to find oddball people, not oddball people, but oddball channels I haven't watched before to watch and stuff. There's a lot of people out there who are going to fall because they know one way. And when all it's going to take is one speed bump in their process to fail or to even falter, it's going to push them off the rails. And they're not going to know what to do. And they could be back at a 9 to 5. So you may not like who I am, what I say, because I'm going to tell you straight up. You may not like the way I do my business. But guess what? I'm giving you all the tools to do what I do. And if you want to, you can go from where I went to where I am. Where am I? I'm happy. That's all I've ever wanted. And a nice car. And I've got them both. And a good size house. Just be careful out there, guys. Whether you like me or don't, be careful out there. Said I don't hold grudges against nobody. Life's too short. Even the people who've done me wrong, I don't care. You know, I forgive and forget, move on because my life's more important. My happiness is more important than what anybody else says or does about anything, you know. So yeah. All right. On that note, yeah. So this week I'm trying to figure out a process on. So that's my biggest thing is the processes now is trying to take advantage of List Easier, trying to take advantage of AI, and I've been trying to create a routine that I'll do over and over again. But again, I don't like doing things over and over again. I like changing them up. So I think the way I'm going to be doing things is differently on my week that I do organization or focus on organization is going to be done differently than the week where I'm not focusing on organization. Where those weeks, I just pound the stuff up, throw them on these shelves. Pound the stuff up, throw them on these shelves. Whereas the week I'm organizing, I think when I separate items and do my Urban Picker video, what's in the bags and stuff, then I just place the stuff up here without it being listed. And then as I organize, I can go, okay, a stack of hats can fit in here. Let me take these hats off, take their pictures, get them into the box, run them through List Easier and be done with it. So I think those are the two ways I'm going to switch up every week, which will fall into one of my weaknesses of not being able to do the same thing over and over and over again and not getting tired of it. So I think it's going to fit right into that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So today I'll be making some what's in the bag videos, throwing stuff up on here just to get this filled up. And then I've got some organizing I need to start on. So I've got some bins that I need to convert over into drawers and what have you. So, and then also when I do that, relist that stuff with AI that's been sitting in my store for years. So I think that's where I'm at. This morning's been kind of slow. I woke up when I got in here at 8:30, I saw that my media account already had $200 on it. I'm like, yes. Well, it's 2 hours later and I'm still at $200. Nothing is sold in the last 2 hours on the media store. I had 0 on the clothing store, and I've been sitting at $38 for the last hour. So we're at 10 o'clock, and I'm not at 250. I thought I was going to be at 250. I'm close. About 240. But I've been at 240 for the last hour now. So hopefully we'll get some stuff coming through here. That would be nice. Offers for me on the media store still not a thing. In the last 12, 13, 15 hours, I had 2 offers. 15 hours, 2 offers. But the sales overnight, so at 10:30, everything stopped. I had one sale at 12:30. So 2 hours there. And then at 1:15, I sold a lot of items. Then at 2:50, I sold another huge lot of items. Then at 3:52, I sold another huge lot of items. And then 7:30, I sold another lot of items. Then at 8:30, I sold another lot of items. So all my sales this morning, most of my sales this morning was lots, CD lots. Were they all CD lots? Yeah. They've all been CD lots, which is what I wanted and is the outcome I wanted with making the current changes I've made. So that's at least a positive, right? So we've got a $23 CD lot. Ooh, no, I sold a lot of vintage photographs too. Nice. $18 in photographs, 4 photographs of ice snow covered trees. I told you, there's somebody who will collect anything and everything out there. Everything's a collectible to somebody somewhere. So old photographs of just ice covered trees. I've sold 4 of them for $18. And there's a $22 CD lot. Then there's a $67 CD lot. And there's a $20 CD lot. So, and then there's a $18 CD lot. So nice. So it's good to see those lots coming through. That's exactly what I wanted. Now if I could just get some sales to build on that, it would be nice. I don't know what's going on. That's been the biggest overnight activity in a long time. But now I'm getting that morning activity back, like I've talked about before. Last week there was a lot of morning emptiness. But those days bounce back pretty good. So hopefully we'll still get a nice bounce back today. So that's what we'll hope for. All right. I changed my header on YouTube. I'll show you if you haven't seen it. So, as you know, I was calling it the Outcast Bubble, right? Welcome to the Outcast Bubble. And this is another reason why I might change the other channel into James Helfer Stay too, is to kind of build off of that Outcast Bubble. Subscribe to change one's life. So I made that to not necessarily say, to make aware that subscribing and watching people on YouTube can change people's lives. So that's more of a broad statement. Subscribe to change one's life, right? And then I made this little 20% full Outcast Bubble with the goal of 100,000 subscribers. So then when I get to 25, I can up that to 25. When I get to 50, like I'll ever get there, I know. But if I ever get to there, then I can make one that's 50% and so on and so forth. And then, of course, be yourself. Everyone else is taken, as the slogan there. So I thought that was kind of cool. I liked it. All right. The Outcast Bubble. Fill the Outcast Bubble by subscribing. All right. That's enough for me. Be careful out there. It's a ego-filled, selfish world on YouTube, so tread lightly and be careful. And I will, because some people's some people's misguidance can lead you to failure. So be careful. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see you all in the next video. Later.